I can make most wins in my life, and I'm not ready for it.
For the Ron Clark Academy 2025 Amazing Shake Competition. I'm Kirk Brown, Chief Development and Communications Officer here at RCA.
And I'm Kim Beard, the co-founder and executive director. And what you just saw at the very beginning was a journey through time. As a matter of fact, that was Father Time, because the theme for the Gauntlet round this year is back in time. And so our students are transformed going back, starting with the year 1900 all the way through to the future. 40 different stations they have to navigate through, talking about all types of historical events and happenings, events in pop culture, as well as things politically, as well as just historical things that happened that transformed our country. They've had some rounds where they knew what they needed to say to prepare, or what they needed to study to prepare, but they still don't know what the questions are till they get here. And then some rounds where they're having to think on their feet.
Absolutely, and I love it that this year's theme is this year's Gauntlet is themed, as Kim mentioned. This is the second year we're doing a themed Gauntlet, and it's incredible to see how we kind of weave a thread through each of these moments here, these stations in the Gauntlet. And so we're going to walk around and kind of show you what's happening, how the students are sort of performing at each of them, and then kind of give you an inside scoop into what happens here on the floor.
So their very, very first round, they actually have to speak about the Panama Canal, which is very timely because it was timely in the 1900s, but then now it's timely again because it has been mentioned that perhaps President Trump believes that we should take back and maintain ownership of the Panama Canal. And so the students here, whenever they give an opinion, they are not scored on what their opinion is, but their ability to be able to persuade others and to be able to speak about their opinion with conviction and be able to do it with poise and eye contact and je ne sais quoi. And so that is the very first station, and then we always put a little bit of fun in it, and also just their ability to do lots of different multiple tasks. So we talk about the Ford Motor Company, but they're putting together, they're supposed to be in an assembly line. It's a bunch of cups that they have to move from one end to the other, but they have to
talk about themselves,
and be able to have a conversation while they're doing this very, very quickly and be hurried along by the judge.
Yeah, so how would you navigate that, right? You've got a task to accomplish, but you've also got to get sort of your elevator pitch and still make a connection with the judge. So that's another round here. Again, journey back in time, the Ford Assembly Plant.
Now this one's a little bit different and a little bit fun.
You've
all seen online where perhaps people couldn't have Jack have fit on the door with Rose on the Titanic,
I mean,
right? She let him just drown in the freezing cold water. So here's our take on it.
So the students are here, and I got to take a moment to just appreciate this set because it's beautiful here. You've got the Titanic music going on in the background, the boat, the raft here, and the students have got the icebergs, and they have got to really convince the person in the boat to let them on the boat. What would you say? I mean, how would you go after this? I mean, I would be on my knees. I'll be saying, hey, let me on this boat right now. You know?
And the judge has been told no matter what, say, I'm so sorry, I can't let you in the boat because it'll tip over and then I'll drown. And so how do they handle that without getting overly frustrated? So it's a fun thing, but also see how persuasive can they be. Now the students are judged on their ability to introduce themselves, make eye contact when appropriate, give a firm handshake, and to be able to speak about things. How do they use their body language, their hand motions, their gestures, and what is their knowledge about different topics that they have studied and learned about. And so we have currently going through the Gauntlet right now, we have 7th grade students. And here we have Carson Britton Wheeler. She's moving on to this next round here. And McLean, both of these, McLean Welch, both been very, very worthy competitors in the past and done very well in the Gauntlet round. So we can kind of see, if you watch their body language, how they're speaking about things, the confidence that they seem to be depicting and conveying. Oh, and also we have Tegan Williams right behind us as well.
And this is the Langston Hughes round, right? And so they've got to learn, and we talked about some of these in the school-wide meeting, and so this round in particular is about Langston Hughes and the Harlem Renaissance, and they've got to be able to really answer a question in depth and kind of give their...
What things were happening in the country at that time to really inspire Langston Hughes and to inspire his poetry. And Tegan is a poet, so I'm interested. I can't tell exactly what she's saying, but I can see there's great animation to how she is saying it, so you can tell she's speaking with a lot of conviction.
And that's the point, right? Not only are you answering the question, but how do you sort of bring in a personal element to connect with the judges and really get those high marks?
Now, please don't score us on our ability to walk backwards at the same time as we're speaking, because no one pushed me down a minute ago. That was just my own feet tripping over a stool. However, we're doing the best we can because we really want you to be able to see what's happening behind us and how the students are handling the different rounds.
So this round here, round 6, is Charles Lindbergh's historic flight. And so the students are having to answer a question and think critically about how the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, if you were to attempt something so challenging, where would you draw your inspiration, right? And so again, what does the student use to think about not only how do I address the question here about the historic flight, but then how do I bring in my personal element as well? That's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, the students even at different rounds, sometimes they're in a chair, sometimes they're on a makeshift raft, sometimes they're on a sofa. Even that, how do they sit down? How do they engage? How are they leaning in? How are they really communicating with the judge at the time? Now here we have Amelia Earhart, and so first woman to try to make a transatlantic flight, she completely disappeared. So they were told they need to know who she is and a little bit about her, but what do they think happened? What was their theory about it and why? And so that'll determine if the student actually did the research that they needed to do. So let's kind of listen in on Carson and see what she's doing right here. If we can hear her, but if you see her body language and she's leaning in.
Well, as we know, the Bermuda Triangle is a really big thing. However, there are a lot of speculations that she might have crashed in the Bermuda Triangle. However, I don't think that's true at all. Her plane crashed around New Guinea, so I would say either bad navigation systems, considering it was pretty back in the day. I would say her navigator, Fred Noonan, could have been a huge part of it as well. Maybe they could have steered her the wrong way or kind of impacted how she, went through. But I think that's a big thing.
So you can see that you're having to think on your feet quite quickly. And speaking of thinking on your feet, we've all heard of the traditional elevator pitch. And so behind us, we have our makeshift elevator where the students pretend that they are getting onto an elevator. And at that time, they have to be able to answer a question in the very short time that you would go from the top floor down to the bottom floor. And we have practiced that with our students because quite often we do travel with our students. We'll be in an elevator. People say, oh, what's your school? Tell us about your school.
All the time.
Can you do that in a moment? Well, we're a school, middle school. Well, there's so much more about our school. So how do you speak about us? How do you talk about what's significant to you about RCA? So they know what an elevator pitch is, and so this is just a different take without taking them to the real elevator.
I got to take a second just to kind of go back. I mean, because Carson killed that answer about Amelia Earhart and just talking about some specific facts about her theory. Or
I couldn't hear it because y'all were way over there.
I know, I'm so sorry, but I just want to give her flowers because she killed that. Yeah.
I'm so proud of her. I could tell that she was speaking with great conviction. You can just read the body language and the facial expressions, and as we spoke about earlier, that's so important because so many people were so busy looking at screens, we've lost some of that ability to be able to convey our thoughts, but also to lean in, how to really be animated in our conversations, and so I'm not surprised at all that she did a phenomenal job.
So I'm going to give the mic to Tegan so we can hear how she does in this one.
Hi,
Nice to meet you too. What's your name?
My name is Tegan, and yours is?
Kimberly.
Nice to meet you, Miss Kimberly.
Okay, so we're talking about the Great Depression in the 1930s today. It was a really tough time. People had to find ways to make their own fun. So what are some simple things that make you happy you can do that doesn't cost a lot of money to have fun?
To have fun? Well, one of the things that I personally love to do that I have fun is I'm really inspired about music. Music is one of my biggest passions in life. I hopefully wish to pursue music when I get older, and that's something that I really enjoy. I could possibly, well, right now I'm in a band called the RCA Inspire Band where we perform for educators who come around the world to come to perform at our school. So when I get older, I hopefully want to pursue that type of dream and make money off of it. So that's something that I really enjoy. Nice to meet you too. Thank you. Thank you.
So there you go. Also, how can you think on your feet when someone hands you a microphone and there's a camera in your face? And you didn't even know that was going to be part of the challenge. So I think she was incredible.
Handled that beautifully, yeah. So shout out to Tegan for that.
Very, very poised. Behind us here, we have a station about Jesse Owens, the historical Olympian who got 4 medals and gold medals in the Berlin Games. And so they needed to know about him. We all need to know about Jesse Owens. And so they asked about him.
Yeah, we mentioned this on the top of the broadcast of the first segment, but I love this gauntlet. We're talking about back in time, but there are a lot of Black history moments in this entire gauntlet, from Shirley Chisholm to Jesse Owens, right? And it's just incredible that the students are able to sort of recall this information, give their insights on it, especially during Black History Month. So to shout out again to Mr. Clark and the team for just a well thought out gauntlet this year.
Beautiful, and history that we all should know.
Yeah.
And what is awesome also is these backdrops. We want to give a shout out to Latasha Lewis and also Cam Bradley in our graphics department. Cam was responsible for those LED screen graphics and everything as you went through Father Time, and Latasha made all of these different backdrops. And really, we start off black and white, but as you see, as we progress through time, we're going to turn to color. So it'll be really great in Technicolor. So moving this way, I am going the right direction, I hope, at this point in time.
whoa.
Okay, so that was just to see if Kirk would be gentlemanly and catch me, because that's another part of the Amazing Shake. I'm not walking backwards.
I wasn't even
today.
paying attention.
There are all kinds of little obstacles behind me, but I'm not being scored today on my grace, fortunately.
All right.
Who doesn't love I Love Lucy?
Oh yes, I Love Lucy. So right again, I mean, they're back. You see the black and white screens here, TVs, and then we'll walk this way. And so the students have to. The question that they have in the 1950s, I Love Lucy was a popular TV show about the life of a family. Of all the families you've seen on TV, is there one you would want to be a part of? Is the question that they were asked, right? And so the students had to choose a TV family and explain why they would want to be a part of that show.
And it's interesting because, as mentioned before by some of our students, they don't watch television like we used to. You know, it used to be everybody in America would be watching a handful of TV shows. We had 3 channels. Now kids watch so many YouTube shows and things like that.
Right.
So perhaps they'll draw on that. Some of our kids watch like the Disney Channel and families like that. But we do teach our kids about historical television shows that really did shape pop culture here. And so our students do know about Lucy, and they know about other television shows that were popular at different decades, because we think that's part of the making of America, and things that people reference different jokes or comments. A lot of those things do come from references to television shows. They should know it.
Yeah. So next up, we've got the Rosa Parks station here. So Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott. And so the prompt that the judges tell the students, they say Rosa Parks' decision to stay seated on the bus led to the Montgomery bus boycott. What do you think, or why do you think rather, her actions inspired so many people to take a stand? And so the students have to give their ideas, their opinions on what do you think inspired her to do that?
There were so many things that were happening during the period of time. Why was that a turning point, many people will say, in the civil rights movement?
Yeah,
what
it changed history.
Yeah,
and so it's a very important question. Again, Black history, American history, it's incredible.
And then right behind us here, we have the etiquette station. So our kids were taught etiquette. We had a class on that and everything on how you sit. You can't put those elbows on the table, how you place your napkin. When you pass the salt and pepper, Kurt, did you know it always goes as a pair?
It always goes as a pair.
Never pass one or the other separately, even if they just ask for salt. You pass them both as a pair. You're welcome. There's your lesson.
Right.
So,
Listen, salt and pepper have been together for all these years. Why are you trying to put them up now, right? They got to stay together. Right.
So are they able to just also speak about, oh, I heard you recommended this restaurant. Can you tell me why it's so special? Just to be able to engage in dinner banter and have conversations. In the subsequent rounds, it could be very possible when the students do leave the building that they are at a dinner event with one of the judges or a luncheon event with one of the judges, and so that etiquette will really come into play there. Even if they're not asked a question about etiquette, are they displaying it, showing what they learned in that class, and doing things the right way during that portion?
Most definitely.
Yes.
And so now we move into color, and it is my fraternity brother, the great Martin Luther King Jr. As Kim mentioned, we started out black and white. Now we're starting to move into the 1960s, and there's color. And so the students here, they're prompted again in his famous I Have a Dream speech. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about his dream for equality and a better future. If you could give your own I Have a Dream speech, what would one of your dreams be for the world? And so how do you answer that question, you know?
Beautiful, powerful. You know, so many students learn who Dr. King is, but and they'll even read the speech, but are you really able to talk about what is your dream? How would you do things? Such a powerful, powerful moment.
Very powerful.
And then we're moving to what I love here. There's some more television, pop culture.
Good times.
And you know what? I think, you know, to the point about Black history, you know, as a little white girl from suburbia, I watched Good Times every single day. And so it was a very powerful thing for my friends and me, because we love the show, for us just to see a black family being a black family and the interactions and the love, because I grew up in a very predominantly white area. And so it was like I was able to go into the home of a black family and experience the joy and the love. And so these shows were so powerful, not only for black children to see, oh, they look like me on television, but for white families to see all the similarities, and so really powerful.
Absolutely. And then we skipped over the station that was right beside the Dr. Martin Luther King. I just want to mention it real quick, but it was about the moon landing and the future of space exploration, which was another very important, right? And so in 1969, the first man walked on the moon. Now, Elon Musk wants to send humans to Mars. In what year do you realistically think that this will happen?
Would you go?
I don't know. I wouldn't go.
Would you go on one of these space flights? If somebody said, I'm going to give you the ticket, you're going to go to outer space, would you do it?
I would not. I mean, isn't there a shuttle stuck in space right now?
Yeah.
I got a family. I mean, I'll let somebody else go.
I'm adventurous. Like, I'll jump out of an airplane,
but I'm not going to space.
I
have no desire.
I'm good. I don't need to go either. Doesn't appeal to me.
Yes.
Now we're getting into my generation here. So if you remember, there was a huge coming together of different artists who did the song "We Are the World" for famine relief in Africa. It was 1985, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, see there, I know, because I was sitting in my college dorm room in 1985 with all my friends watching clips of this, what we see behind us. And
I love it.
But the question here is, if someone were going to do, an artist were going to come together today to bring multiple artists from all different genres together the way this was done in 1985, who would it be and why? And what do you think would be the cause that they would bring people together to share in raising funds?
In raising funds, which is so important because we want the kids to have a mindset about philanthropy and about giving back to others, altruismo, right? You know, you want to be good givers, not just taking, but how do you be good stewards in this world? And this question speaks to that, so I love that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we're in my decade.
No, yeah.
So this is no longer history. They think it's history, but it's just 5 minutes ago. Just so everybody understands, this all just happened.
I think
right?
okay, this is the Tiger Woods station, right? So now we are right here, and you see the green here with the golf club.
Lots of big deals are made on golf courses, Kurt.
Lots of big deals, and I'm still working on my golf swing. We'll just say that. But the question says, come on, if we want to be as good as Tiger Woods, we need to practice. So the student has to engage in conversation while attempting to sink a putt, right? So again, teaching our students life skills. A lot of deals, as Kim mentioned, happen on the golf course, but you're not just out there golfing. You got to hold a conversation and connect with people.
And it'd be interesting, because some of the kids might be so focused on making that hole that the conversation lapses, and it's not about whether they make it, but but you don't want to embarrass yourself and hit the ball off the green. So how do you handle that situation? Plus, also the great Tiger Woods. I mean, what an icon in golf history. So in all sports history.
In all sports history. All right, so we'll walk this way to the next one. Excuse us here. And so now we're here at YouTube. All the students love YouTube. I mean, I think they probably
They watch YouTube in lieu of television.
Yes.
They just sit and watch YouTube videos.
All day long.
Yes.
And so the start of YouTube started in 2005 again, so now we're moving into a different part of time. And so it changed the way people watch videos and share content. So that's the question. If you could start your own YouTube channel, what would it be about and why?
And it's so fascinating because these students were not alive without YouTube.
Right.
They've always had YouTube as a part of their life.
Yeah.
Our school opened in 2007, and actually YouTube, I think, was very instrumental in getting the word out about our school because we went viral.
A lot of videos went viral on YouTube.
And people started to know who the Ron Clark Academy was through YouTube. So we credit YouTube with that for us, and it was a big deal. So it really did change pop culture. So it's fascinating to me that these students have never known life without it.
Without it, and it really is changing people's lives too. I mean, when you think about content and the money that creators can make on platforms like YouTube, it can be a game changer for them. And so a lot of kids here will probably know someone who is a famous YouTuber or grows up to be a famous YouTuber, which can change your life as well. So I don't know, I just wanted to mention that because YouTube is a big deal, and the kids all love it. They're on it all the time.
We were fortunate to have Mr. Beast Philanthropy come and do a segment on our show last year. Mr. Beast, as you know, the #1 YouTuber in the world, and they did a special on our school. So that, of course, gave the students great pride, because they were so wonderful and gracious to us.
Yeah, during admissions, just a quick caveat, during admissions, I pulled up the Mr. Beast video about RCA, and all the kids were like, "What? Mr. Beast was here?" They were all freaking out.
And those are third graders.
Third graders,
and they know Mr. Beast. So there you go. Some of y'all may not know who he is, but your third graders do. So that tells you something right there.
Right. Look up Mr. Beast Philanthropy and Ron Clark Academy and show it to your students. They will freak out.
Very grateful for that. And then what's happening right here, Kurt?
All right. So now we're here. I think this is station
21.
21. All right. So let's go back here. That was YouTube. All right. So 22.
Look at the back of that page.
Oh, that was scoring breakdown.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right.
I'll stay in my lane.
22. So presenting a newsworthy event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the students are actually, I don't know what this one in particular is about, because I may have lost the...
I think that's
printout.
YouTube. That's YouTube.
Okay, yeah, it's YouTube. Yeah, it's all together.
Yeah.
Sorry. So moving over this way.
This is one of our favorites right here.
Yeah, so the students now are presenting a newsworthy event. They actually had to prepare a trifold in advance. We gave every student that was competing a blank trifold, and they had to pick a newsworthy event and put together a presentation, and then they came here and they had to present it in 60 seconds and then answer questions from the judges about what they presented and why.
And the students have done a phenomenal job on these trifold boards. They had 1 week total to work on finding something, doing research on it, being able to make the presentation board, be able to work on their presentation, and then afterward the judge has been informed to ask them questions about it to make sure that they really do understand the topic, that they researched it, they know a lot about it. Yeah. And we told students, try to do something that maybe sets you apart, something that's unique, something that everybody may not be aware of. And so here we can see a couple of our students giving their presentations as we speak.
Back in the day, they saw it more as a traditional lifestyle, as going to college and having a big career after that. But now, a lot of kids my age look at success as going viral on TikTok or getting money from becoming an influencer or selling stuff on a TikTok shop. Now, I would say for me, I haven't been so big on the TikTok career. I'm more big on going to college, becoming an entrepreneur. But I would say now, it's had some negative effects on our society. For example, we've also tried to ban it because there's been national security threats that have kind of become a concern for Donald Trump and people in charge of our government. Along with that, as a student, it can also kind of promote procrastination, as its addictive nature can kind of draw you in. Frequent breaks in scrolling on TikTok can lead to hours of scrolling, even late nights. If you go on TikTok late at night, then if you wake up, it can kind of decrease how much you pay attention in school.
So there you can see, there's Carson. She is a 7th grade student, and what I love, so TikTok was created 2006, 2007, somewhere like that, which is hard to believe, but I love that she's talking about the benefits, but also the downfall and some of the problems with TikTok, because it's very newsworthy right now about the TikTok ban, and now we're back down to, will we continue to use it, yeah. the Chinese security issues, all those different things, and she's touched on all of those, which shows me that she really did her research and knows a lot about it.
That's what it's about. You want to pick a newsworthy topic and then be able to answer questions as well, because the judges are going to ask follow-up questions, and so we're going to really see if the students really did their research, and it sounds like that Carson did.
And I love it, because at this station, it had to be something that occurred between 2010 and 2020. So when I said 2017.
17, yeah.
See, history, between 2016 and 2017, forgive me, I forgot the 10 in there.
Yeah.
So she was able to do something that happened during that decade, but then connect it to it being very newsworthy and noteworthy in the present time, which I also think is very clever on her part.
Clever, for sure.
So.
All right, so now we move over to the AI station.
Whew, and definitely a lot to see. Now, I want y'all to know I'm not the only one tripping. One of our cameramen just went down.
Let's just unbuckle
There's a
these.
lot of stuff in the Gauntlet. It is also a physical challenge, even without intending to be. So this is about AI, and I think every one of us would say there's definite benefits and there's definite downfalls, and it is scary for some of us to think about some of the implications if not used correctly, and if there aren't safeguards. And so there they have to predict what are the strengths of AI, but also what do they think are some of the potential dangers that we will have to face with the use of AI. And just, if you think about the past year, how much it has taken off, and how much so many of us use it, but also how we see the dangers. How do we use it effectively in a school setting, and how do we not have it do the work for our kids, but use it as a tool because they're going to use it in the workforce? There's so many different layers of conversation.
Yeah. And you can really take this, in any direction, whether you like it or whether you don't, and if you do, what are the pros and cons? And so the students have a lot to pull from to answer this question and really connect with the judge as well. But then I also wonder too, some of these stations is not just about the content. How do you connect with the judge as well? That handshake, is it a little bit of small talk in the beginning first to make that connection? How do they use their personality and their charisma to really win over the judges? It's important.
So, and you notice too, in many of these stations, it's not just tell me about this, it's what do you think? What is the problem? What is the solution? They're really having to give in-depth analytical answers about their critical thinking about these different topics, and I think that is really powerful. So they're judged on the content, but also how do they convey that? And how are they able to do it effectively in a minute? And y'all, we've been talking a long time. We're just talking about this stuff.
I need some water.
Imagine going through every single one of these stations as a child and speaking and maintaining that stamina and meeting all these different people and doing it, it is a really powerful thing.
And trying to be on for 45 minutes.
They exhaust after this. And those who go through to the next round, they're going to keep going all day long from place to place and have to be on.
Yeah, let's listen to Gael real quick on this open AI question.
Because most situations, how AI has, as you can see, your brain, Elon Musk has already started with planting a chip in people's side, and I think it would mess up humanity. I think it would just be a different problem for us.
All right, so here he is talking about his views on open AI, or just on artificial intelligence in general, not just open AI, but AI in general. All right.
So next we're going to enter the circle of doom. And you have to go dun 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 after we say the circle of doom.
We're in your way, Gael.
We are in the way of the circle. So the students, they will go from one judge to the next, many different types of questions, some of them thought-provoking, some fun, like earlier you heard Makai reference, how do you get 1,000+ aura?
Right.
So be able to speak like the students speak and understand that.
So the first question here, and we'll go backwards, but just so you know what they're talking about, it says, tell me about yourself. It's just a simple question, right? And we've taught the students, how do you talk about yourself and connect with the judge and also be unique, because you have 155 kids that are gonna come through.
Right.
How do you set yourself apart?
You know, I'm on the step team. That is cool because our step team is amazing. But if every kid on the step team says, I'm on the step team, well, how are you going to be memorable? What about you being on the step team makes you different? And how do you speak confidently about yourself but not come across as arrogance, like listing all of your awards and accolades? That's really not what we're looking for. How do you make a connection with somebody when you are talking about yourself to see if you have any commonalities?
Yeah.
How do you bridge that gap? Those are the kind of subtle things that we've taught them. We're trying to see if they can do.
Yeah, I want to listen into this question right here from Morgan Rose, just to see how she's doing.
Try to make them turn back into students. So I don't know how they make it, but basically they go and they get ran over by a car. So one of their students get left. So they try to figure out how are they going to tell that kid's parent how to change that. So it's really interesting.
Okay. What happened to the witch?
The witch, she came back at the end, and she was the mom. Because you know how kids always think that their parents are witches. So the witch came back and she told them
I think that might be the question. What's your favorite TV or YouTube show? She's talking about a show, it seems, and so that might have been the question. We're here in the way here. You'll go right this way, Morgan. Oh, okay. There we go. Don't want to trip the kids up here.
I know it, right? That's all we want to do.
But
a minute goes very fast when you're trying to come up with a thoughtful answer as well.
Yes, most definitely. So lots of different questions here in the circle of doom. They got to be on their feet here. Again, that question was, what's your favorite TV or YouTube show? Tell me about your school is one question.
Yeah, tell about RCA in a minute, because like I mentioned before, we want our students to be able to speak about our school and what makes us unique, distinctive, different. How do they share that with other people? Because they're often asked out in public if they have RCA, on their jacket or something like that. How do they speak about us?
Yeah, there's a question about Mr. Beast. Speaking about Mr. Beast earlier, Mr. Beast made you an offer. You can take $10,000 right now, or you can flip a coin. If it lands on heads, you get nothing. If it lands on tails, you get $100,000. What would you choose and why? What would y'all choose? Are you going to flip the coin? What are you going to do?
If you have that gambling nature or not, right? Are you the one that just gets the chips and puts them in your pocket and walks away, or are you going to put them all on the table, right?
Right.
It's kind of that same kind of thing.
So that question is very interesting. And then you heard Makai talk about it on the first broadcast that we did earlier. The students have to explain how to get 1,000+ aura. Gen Z terms here, again, relating to kids, giving them a moment to breathe, be themselves, explain something that they talk about and are familiar with. It's just fun, right?
Yeah, the students the other day, we were out there at break, and they gave me a list of Gen Z terms, and they just asked me to read the Gen Z terms aloud. And I said, for real? I said, yes. I said, I'm not reading anything bad. You're not reading anything bad. So
raise your yeah.
And they were just, that was one of them, because they wanted to see how I would say it, and it was hysterical. I know, but I went for it, because I was like, why not? Why not? So now we have a lot of stations, and from our sponsors here, we have Delta Tech Ops as one of our sponsors, TMPAV, and so on, Inspire Brands. And so the different questions are these the traditional job interview questions at this particular station?
Right, traditional job interview questions. And they might be related to that particular company. For example, so the TMPAV
They do the LED screens when we came in and we saw Father Time. They do them for different events and things like that. So I do believe that's a question related to
So
entertainment.
they're a company that provides live event solutions, handling things like lighting, sound, and staging for concerts, conferences, and big productions. What do you think is the most important part of putting on a great live event, and why? Right, so relating to one of our sponsors, TMPAV, the students gotta answer the question related to that company. Delta Tech Ops is another sponsor. The question that they have here is they're responsible for maintaining and repairing airplanes to keep them safe and running smoothly. What skills do you think are most important for someone working in tech ops, and why? Right?
That's great.
So,
and then we have Warner Brothers Discovery, Delta Community Credit Union. These are all sponsors of today's event, so we're grateful for that. And then they have also brought people in. Oh goodness, there were some exciting things happening over there. They have brought in their employees also to be the ones asking the questions, which we're grateful for.
So lots of exciting moments happening here in the Gauntlet. Again, it was a going back in time. That's the theme for this Gauntlet this year. This is the Amazing Shake competition. If you're just tuning in, it's testing our students on their handshake, their eye contact, their poise under pressure, their charisma, how they navigate all these different scenarios while still answering these questions. And they're getting scored from 0 to 20, 20 being the highest that they can receive at each particular station. And in a moment, we're going to find out who those top 30 students who score the highest are.
Every student has gone through this gauntlet, 40 different stations, the entire time having to stay focused, to be charming, to be engaged, to be excited, to show energy. And it can be very, very tiring, especially even for an adult, but a smaller student. I mean, my goodness, a younger student, it's a lot to keep up with everything they're saying, not mix their words. So we're really proud of them. I do want us to figure out which station is the one where they have to convey their thoughts without words.
Oh, yes, let's keep walking.
So there is one. Yeah. So let's see, we're going to turn our back here a second so we don't wipe out and walk through here.
Lily, what's up? We're going to walk back this way. I think it's the last one over here.
So we do talk with our students a lot about body language, facial expressions, ability to convey things. And so we are telling them that in the future they'll be able to have a conversation telepathically. And so they have to talk about themselves only using facial expressions, no words. And so we wanted to see how they would do with that. So,
oh my goodness. So it looks like Mosey is down here at the end. It's the last station here at the bottom.
Is it this one down here? Okay, let's take a look.
So Mosey is trying to explain without using word. Oh, it's not Mosey, it's Ocean. And the gong just went off there. Sorry, I'm in the wrong location. So it looks like that was Ocean there trying to explain again what Kim mentioned on how they would introduce themselves or talk about themselves without using words.
And this is Brylan. So Brylan is actually very, very focused right now. He's got to tell about himself using his body language. This was inspired, as we mentioned earlier, if you have seen the video that went viral of the gentleman talking about Cynthia Reeve, though, only through his facial expression looking into the camera, about her performance in Wicked, and it was magnificent. I was captivated.
Yes.
And it was all just by...
Right.
And so we want to see, could they do that? Can they convey thoughts? A lot of them, I think, are tending to pantomime things that they do. So they're using their whole body, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm curious, I would love to see someone who only just used their face the whole time.
Their face the whole time, yeah.
It's just to see how well they do.
Yeah, so Ocean went first when we first walked up, and now this is Brylan. These are fourth graders who made it in the top 6 to compete in the competition today. Again, a huge honor because only a select number of fourth graders can compete in our competition, and so they're just finishing up the gauntlet here. But I want to see how Morgan Rose does as she kind of navigates through and makes it to that one as well.
So
I'm sure
you may want to
you
can see her face and not worry about us. Let's see.
So again, they'll have to introduce themselves here without using words. How will they do it? So we're going to tune in here. There's not really...
She just won the challenge, so now she's going to begin. She's mouthing some things. She's doing a lot of pantomiming here to try to tell a little bit about herself. So I think she sews, according to that. She loves to take pictures.
Talking about fashion, taking pictures. And there's the gong, 60 seconds. How would you...
Goes very quickly.
And so look, she took a moment here again to say, thank you for judging this and spending time with us today, right? It's just that little That
Those
little touch.
things.
Yeah.
If you remember the name of the judge and you speak it at the very end after you've done it, especially after 40 rounds, my goodness, did you listen what their name was?
Yeah.
Little things like that give the students the opportunity to just give a little boost to their score as well, because we say in real life that's a very important thing. So the judges are given a detailed account of what they're supposed to be looking for specifically in their station, the things that the students know, but also just specifically what are things that the students should display with their poise, their charisma, their eye contact, and that's how they arrive at their scores.
And that's how they arrive. So that is the Gauntlet for this year, y'all. Again, an incredible feat. Shout out to Hutch, Cookie, Ethan, Mr. Clark, Latasha, Cam, everyone who had a hand in putting this together. Of course, media team who was here doing the production.
Yes.
All hands on deck to make this happen for our students, and all the sponsors who really invested in this program to make it all happen.
And shout out to you and to Danny from our development department for getting all the volunteers here. We're so grateful to have so many people take a day off work to come here. And it's exhausting being a judge too. Imagine having to shake, 150 something hands and interact with those students. That's a lot of work as well. So we're really grateful for them as well.
All right, so we're going to wrap up this live here, and when we come back, we're going to be announcing the top 30 students who are going to be leaving the building. It's a big honor to leave the building and go to another company for round 2. We thank y'all so much for joining us here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few moments, so you'll see which students are going to be competing for round 2 of the Amazing Shake competition.
And if you just tuned in for this broadcast and missed the first one, go back and check that out, because it really does give you an overview of the whole program. And we do want to remind you that resources are available at theamazingshake.com so that you can find ways that you can implement this in your community as well. And we have a global Amazing Shake taking place in March. If you go to theamazingshake.com, you'll learn some more information about that.
Definitely
there as well.
register. Any 4th through 8th grade students can compete in the global competition. Whether you have a competition or not, you can register them to be a part of this. Again, happening in March, as Kim mentioned. All right, folks, that's going to be it here. We'll see y'all back in the Great Hall for the announcements. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.